The sun rose over Earth just like any other day in the year 2157. Humans had spread across the solar system, building homes on Mars and mining asteroids for metals. But in all their travels through space, they had never met aliens. Many people thought humans were alone in the universe. Commander Taiwan Kim stood at the main window of Orbital Defense Station Alpha, looking down at the blue planet below. His job was simple: watch for space rocks that might hit Earth. After 15 years in space, he found the work peaceful, but sometimes boring. "Commander, would you like some coffee?" Lieutenant Jewelry Park handed him a steaming cup. Taiwan smiled and took the cup. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Quiet morning so far?" "Yes, sir. All systems normal." Jewelry was the smartest officer on the station. She could solve problems in ways others couldn't imagine. That's why Taiwan had picked her for his team. As they sipped their coffee, a loud beep came from the main control panel. Jewelry rushed over to check it. "Sir, long-range sensors are picking up strange energy readings beyond Pluto," she said, her fingers moving quickly across the screen. "It's unlike anything I've seen before." Taiwan put down his coffee. "Asteroid cluster." "No, sir. The energy pattern is too organized. It's moving with purpose." More alarms started to sound across the station. The energy readings were growing stronger. Taiwan ordered the station to high alert and called Earth Command. "This is Orbital Defense Alpha. We have unknown objects approaching from beyond Pluto. Request immediate support and instructions." Earth Command responded quickly. "Keep monitoring. We're alerting all defense forces. Send us everything you have." For the next 3 hours, Taiwan and his team watched as the energy signatures moved closer. Then suddenly, a flash of light appeared at the edge of their sensor range. "Sir," Jewelry's voice was tight with fear, "hundreds of ships are appearing out of nowhere. They came through some kind of door in space." The main screen showed what looked like a tear in the blackness of space. Through this opening came ships, massive ships that made Earth's largest vessels look like toys. "Send all data to Earth Command now," Taiwan ordered, "and prepare the station's defense systems." Before they could act, the alien ships spread out in a clear attack pattern. They moved with perfect coordination, like dancers following steps they had practiced for years. "They're heading toward Earth, sir," said Jewelry, "and they're moving fast." Taiwan tried to contact the alien ships on all known frequencies. "This is Commander Taiwan Kim of Earth's Orbital Defense. We welcome peaceful contact. Please respond." Nothing but silence answered him. Then the first shots were fired. The alien fleet released energy beams that cut through space toward Earth. The beams hit military bases, power stations, and communication towers with perfect aim. Major cities weren't destroyed, just carefully damaged in ways that would cause the most problems. "They're not trying to kill everyone," Jewelry said, watching the attacks on the screen. "They're disabling us." Earth's defense ships launched to fight back, but they were too few and too small. The alien weapons tore through them easily. Within minutes, half of Earth's space fleet was gone. Taiwan watched helplessly as more alien ships moved toward his station. "They'll be here soon. We need to save what we know about them." He turned to Jewelry. "Lieutenant, take the stealth shuttle. It has the new cloaking technology they hopefully can't detect." Jewelry shook her head. "Sir, I can't leave you." "That's an order, Lieutenant," Taiwan said firmly. "Take all the data we've collected on the aliens. Earth needs to know what we're facing if there's any hope of fighting back." Alarms blared as the station's outer defenses began to fail. The alien ships were closing in. "Go now," Taiwan said, putting a hand on Jewelry's shoulder. "I'll buy you time to escape." Tears in her eyes, Jewelry nodded. "It has been an honor, Commander." "The honor was mine." Taiwan gave her a small smile. "Now go. Humanity is counting on you." Jewelry rushed to the small hangar where the experimental stealth shuttle waited. The ship was small and fast, designed to move undetected through space. As she started the engines, she could hear explosions throughout the station. Through the shuttle's window, she saw alien ships firing on the station. With shaking hands, she guided the shuttle out of the hangar, activating the cloaking system immediately. The shuttle disappeared from sight, just as a massive explosion tore through the center of the station. Juri bit her lip to keep from crying out. Commander Kim was still on board. As she flew away, a message came through on all Earth frequencies. The voice spoke perfect English with no accent. People of Earth, hear our words. We are the galactic hegemony, rulers of 1,000 worlds. Your planet is now under our control. Resistance will only bring pain. Accept our rule, and you will be treated well. Fight, and you will suffer. The choice is yours. Juri set course for Earth, keeping the shuttle's cloaking system at full power. Tears ran down her face as she watched the aliens take control of Earth's orbit. She thought of Commander Kim and all the others who had just died. I will make sure your sacrifice wasn't for nothing, she whispered. For 3 days, Juri kept the shuttle hidden in low Earth orbit, watching as the aliens landed in major cities across the planet. Their ships were everywhere, and their technology was far beyond anything humans had. Earth's governments tried to fight back at first. They launched missiles, sent fighter jets, and used every weapon they had. Nothing worked. The alien shields stopped everything, and their weapons disabled Earth's defenses with ease. One by one, countries surrendered. The aliens set up bases in major cities and began to change things. They brought new technology that provided clean power and cured diseases. They acted like they were helping humans, not conquering them. Look at what we offer, the aliens said in worldwide broadcasts. Clean energy, advanced medicine, protection from the dangers of space. Join the hegemony and share in our greatness. Many humans accepted this new reality. After the horror of the initial attack, the aliens seemed almost kind. They didn't kill unless humans fought back. They didn't destroy unless facing resistance. But Juri knew better. She had seen the careful planning of their attack. This wasn't kindness, it was strategy. The aliens wanted Earth intact, with its people and resources available to use. Finally, when she was sure the shuttle wouldn't be detected, Juri landed in a remote area of the Korean mountains. She had heard rumors of resistance fighters gathering there, led by General Sung-ho Lee, a military leader who had refused to surrender. After hiding the shuttle in a cave, Juri hiked through the forest until she found a hidden entrance in the mountainside. Armed guards stopped her. I am Lieutenant Juri Park from Orbital Defense Station Alpha, she said. I have critical information about the aliens. I need to see General Lee immediately. The guards looked at each other. Then one spoke into a radio. After a brief conversation, they nodded. Follow us, Lieutenant. The General has been waiting for someone like you. Juri was led through a series of tunnels into a large underground base. Hundreds of people worked at computers and equipment. Maps covered the walls, showing alien positions around the world. In the center of the room stood General Sung-ho Lee, a tall man with gray hair and fierce eyes. When he saw Juri, he walked over quickly. Lieutenant Park, we thought everyone at the orbital stations was lost. Juri stood straight and saluted. Commander Kim saved me, sir. He sacrificed himself so I could escape with data about the alien attack. For the first time since the invasion began, Juri felt a spark of hope. Here, deep under the mountains, humans were not giving up. They were planning to fight back. General Lee nodded grimly. Then let's make sure his sacrifice matters. Tell me everything you know about these aliens. If we're going to take back our planet, we need every advantage we can get. Juri took a deep breath and began to share what she had learned. The fight for Earth had only just begun. 3 months passed since the aliens took control of Earth. The hegemony, as they called themselves, ruled from the skies. Their massive ships hung over major cities like metal clouds. They set up control centers in every capital and brought strange machines that gave free power and clean water to those who obeyed. In the underground base beneath the Korean mountains, Lieutenant Ju-ri Park studied a map showing alien positions across the globe. The base had grown since her arrival. Hundreds of soldiers, scientists, and everyday people had found their way here, all looking to fight back. "Lieutenant, the general wants to see you," said a young soldier. Ju-ri nodded and followed him through the busy tunnels. The base hummed with activity day and night. People slept in shifts because there wasn't enough room for everyone to lie down at once. General Sung-ho Lee waited in the main strategy room with a thin man in glasses. "Lieutenant Park, meet Dr. Han Bin Choi," said the general. "He was working on quantum physics before the invasion. Now he's our best chance at understanding alien technology." Dr. Choi smiled shyly. "The general speaks too highly of me. I'm just trying to help." "Dr. Choi has been studying the data you saved from the space station," General Lee explained. "Tell her what you found." The doctor pointed to a screen showing energy readings from the alien ships. "Look here. Before they fire their weapons, there's a 3-second buildup of energy. During those 3 seconds, their shields weaken slightly." Ju-ri leaned closer. "So they're vulnerable right before they attack." "Exactly," said Dr. Choi. "It's not much, but it's something." General Lee spread his hands on the table. "We need to hit them during that brief window, but we need to know more about how their technology works." "I might be able to help with that," Ju-ri said. "I've been working on a plan." She explained that some humans were working with the aliens as translators and assistants. The aliens needed these helpers since they didn't understand human cultures well. "If I pose as a collaborator, I could get inside one of their control centers," Ju-ri said. "I could gather information about their systems." General Lee frowned. "It's too dangerous." "With respect, sir, we're running out of time," Ju-ri argued. "Our scouts report that the aliens are building something big in orbit. We need to know what it is." After much discussion, the general reluctantly agreed to Ju-ri's plan. She would pose as a human willing to work with the aliens in exchange for food and protection. Dr. Choi pulled her aside before she left. "While you're there, look for anything related to their communication systems. I have a theory that they might be vulnerable to certain Earth minerals." The next day, Ju-ri walked into Seoul with fake identification papers. The city had changed. Alien technology was everywhere. Their machines cleaned the air and water. They had even set up medical centers where they cured human diseases with a simple touch of their tools. At the main alien control center, formerly Seoul City Hall, Ju-ri joined a line of humans waiting to offer their services to the new rulers. Many were there for the same reason. The aliens gave better food and housing to those who helped them. When it was her turn, Ju-ri stepped forward. An alien sat behind a desk, its 4 eyes blinking at her. It looked almost human but too perfect, like a statue come to life. Its skin was pale blue and seemed to glow from within. "Name and skills," it said in perfect Korean. "Kim Sun-hee," Ju-ri lied, using her fake identity. "I was a computer technician before your arrival. I understand systems and can learn quickly." The alien studied her, then nodded. "We need humans who can adapt. You will start in the data processing division." For the next 2 weeks, Ju-ri worked inside the alien control center. She learned their routines and studied their technology when no one was watching. The aliens treated humans like useful tools, not as equals. They spoke about Earth as if it were just another farm to harvest. One night, while working late, Ju-ri overheard 2 aliens talking. "The harvester fleet will arrive in 16 days, one said. "Then the real work can begin." "Yes, this small force was only meant to secure the planet," the other replied. "Once the harvesters arrive, we can begin extracting the core minerals properly." Ju-ri's blood ran cold. They weren't planning to rule humans. They wanted what was inside the Earth itself. Humans were just in the way. She needed to get this information back to the resistance immediately. But as she turned to leave, she bumped into a table. knocking over a strange device that shattered on the floor. The aliens turned at the sound. Their eyes narrowed when they saw Juri. "What are you doing here at this hour?" one demanded. Juri thought quickly. "I'm sorry. I was finishing my work assignment. I didn't mean to disturb you." The aliens looked at each other. Check her workstation. She may have heard too much. Juri knew she had to act fast. As one alien moved toward a control panel, she grabbed a heavy metal object from a nearby desk and struck it hard on the back of its head. The alien fell forward, stunned but not unconscious. The second alien reached for something on its wrist. An alarm, Juri guessed. She threw herself at it, knocking them both to the ground. They struggled, the alien much stronger than she expected. Its hands closed around her throat. Desperate, Juri reached for anything she could use as a weapon. Her fingers found a small metal rod on the alien's belt. She pulled it free and jabbed it into the alien's eye. The creature screamed and let go. Juri scrambled away, grabbing the alien device she had overheard them discussing. She ran for the exit, alarms blaring behind her. Outside, chaos erupted as security forces responded to the alarm. Juri mixed with the crowd of confused humans, slipping away in the confusion. She made her way to a safe house the resistance had established in the city. 3 days later, she returned to the mountain base, exhausted but successful. She brought with her the alien device and crucial information about the coming harvester fleet. "They're not here to rule us," she told General Lee and Dr. Choi. "They want what's inside our planet. Once their main fleet arrives, they'll start drilling to the core. They don't care what happens to humans." Dr. Choi examined the alien device Juri had stolen. "This is amazing. It's some kind of quantum communicator. It uses principles I've only theorized about." As he studied it, his eyes grew wide. "Lieutenant, this might be the key to everything. Their whole system runs on quantum entanglement. That's how they coordinate so perfectly." He explained that the aliens used quantum particles that stayed connected across any distance. When one particle changed, its partner changed too, no matter how far apart they were. This let them communicate instantly across space. "But here's the interesting part," Dr. Choi said excitedly. "Earth has unusual magnetic fields that interfere with their quantum network. That's why they need so many relay stations around the planet." General Lee leaned forward. "Can we use this against them?" "I think so," said Dr. Choi. "If we can create enough interference at the right frequency, we might be able to disrupt their entire communication system. Without it, their perfect coordination would fall apart." Juri looked at the stolen device. "We have less than 2 weeks before their main fleet arrives. Can you build something that quickly?" Dr. Choi pushed his glasses up. "Not alone, but with help, maybe." General Lee stood up straight. "You'll have every scientist and engineer we can find. Lieutenant Park, contact all resistance cells worldwide. Tell them we need people with technical skills immediately." As the meeting ended, Juri felt a mix of hope and fear. The aliens were powerful, but they had weaknesses. Humans were outnumbered and outgunned, but they were fighting for their home. "We can do this," she whispered to herself. "We have to." The race against time had begun. Humanity had just days to prepare for their one chance to fight back. The underground base buzzed with activity. With only 10 days until the alien harvester fleet arrived, humans worked around the clock. Scientists and engineers from resistance cells across the globe had gathered in the Korean mountain hideout. Dr. Han Bin Choi rarely slept. He led a team working to build devices that could disrupt the aliens' quantum communication. They called them Q disruptors. Each device must be exactly the same. Dr. Choi explained to the workers. They must all activate at the same moment to create the right effect. Juri entered his lab area, carefully stepping around tables covered with parts and tools. "How's it going, Doctor?" Dr. Choi rubbed his tired eyes. "We've made 20 Q disruptors so far. We need at least 50 to create enough disruption." "Will they work?" Juri asked. In theory, yes. The alien's quantum network should be vulnerable to the specific frequency we're using. He picked up one of the finished devices. It was about the size of a small backpack, with a simple button to activate it. The hard part will be getting them in place without the aliens noticing, he added. General Lee had divided the resistance fighters into small teams. Each team would take several key disruptors to major cities around the world. When activated together, the devices would temporarily disable the aliens' ability to communicate and control their weapons. During this window of opportunity, strike teams would board key alien ships to capture their technology. It was a desperate plan, but it was all they had. As Juri left Dr. Choi's lab, she bumped into a woman carrying circuit boards. "Sorry," the woman said, nearly dropping her load. "Let me help," Juri replied, steadying the stack of electronics. "I'm Lieutenant Park." "I know who you are," the woman smiled. "I'm Minji Kang. I used to make video games before all this. Now I'm helping Dr. Choi with the control systems for the Q disruptors." Juri raised an eyebrow. "Video games? How does that help with fighting aliens?" Minji laughed. "Games are all about systems and networks. Turns out alien tech isn't that different from the neural networks I used to create." They walked together toward the main workshop. Minji explained that she had been working on a new type of gaming system before the invasion, one that read and responded to human brain patterns. "The funny thing is," Minji said, "the aliens can't seem to read or understand human brainwaves. Their technology is advanced, but it's built for their minds, not ours." Juri stopped walking. "Wait, what did you just say?" "Their tech doesn't work well with human brain patterns. That's why they need human helpers for some tasks. They can't interface directly with us." An idea began to form in Juri's mind. "Minji, I need you to come with me to see the general right away." In the strategy room, Juri and Minji explained their idea to General Lee. If the aliens couldn't process human brain patterns, then human-designed interfaces might be able to access alien systems in ways the hegemony never expected. "Minji's neural interface might let us control their ships once we're on board," Juri said eagerly. General Lee looked skeptical. "You want to plug human brains into alien computers?" "Not exactly," Minji clarified. "My system translates neural impulses into digital commands. If I can adapt it to the alien tech Lieutenant Park brought back, we might be able to bypass their security." The general thought for a moment, then nodded. "Work with Dr. Choi. If this is possible, it could give us a real advantage." For the next week, the base was in constant motion. Key disruptors were built, tested, and carefully distributed to resistance cells worldwide. Minji and Dr. Choi worked together to adapt her neural interface to alien technology. The night before the attack, Juri couldn't sleep. She wandered through the quiet corridors until she found Minji still working in the lab. "You should rest," Juri said. "Tomorrow will be difficult." Minji looked up from her work, just making final adjustments. "This has to work perfectly." Juri sat beside her. "Are you afraid?" "Terrified," Minji admitted with a small smile, "but also excited. I never thought my gaming tech would help save the world." They talked through the night about their lives before the invasion, their hopes for after. If there was an after. "My parents always said video games were a waste of time," Minji laughed. "Now look at me." As dawn approached, General Lee gathered all the fighters. "Today we fight not just for ourselves, but for all humanity. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for." The attack began at exactly noon. Around the world, resistance fighters activated their Q disruptors. The effect was immediate. Alien ships faltered in the sky. Their perfect formation broke apart as their communication network failed. In Seoul, Juri led a team of 20 fighters toward the main command ship. With alien security systems down, they used grappling hooks to climb onto the vessel's outer hull. Minji followed close behind, carrying her neural interface equipment. "Find an access point," Juri ordered as they reached the ship's surface. One fighter discovered a maintenance hatch. They cut through it and entered the ship. Inside, the aliens were in chaos. Without their quantum network, they couldn't coordinate. Many seemed confused or frightened. The team moved quickly through the ship, stunning any aliens they encountered. Minji studied the ship's design. "The bridge should be this way," she said, pointing down a curved hallway. When they reached the bridge, 5 aliens turned to face them. Unlike the others, these aliens seemed calm despite the loss of their network. The leader stepped forward. "Humans," it said coldly, "this temporary victory means nothing. Our harvester fleet approaches. You cannot stop the hegemony." Ju-Rai raised her weapon. "We're not here to talk." The fighters quickly overpowered the bridge crew. Minji immediately went to work, attaching her neural interface to the ship's control systems. "This is amazing," she whispered as she worked. Their navigation system contains maps of hundreds of planets, all conquered by the hegemony. Ju-Ri looked over her shoulder. "Can you access their portal technology? The one they use to bring ships across space?" Minji nodded slowly, her fingers flying across the alien controls. "I think so. It's complex, but the principles are similar to 3-dimensional mapping in games." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. One of the fighters watching external sensors called out, "Lieutenant, the alien reinforcements are coming. A portal is opening near the moon." Through the ship's viewing screen, they watched as a massive tear in space appeared. The harvester fleet was arriving early. Ju-Ri made a split-second decision. "Minji, can you change where that portal leads? Can you send them somewhere else?" Minji's eyes widened. "Maybe. If I can access the portal controls." She connected her neural interface to the system and closed her eyes, concentrating intensely. "It's like solving a puzzle in reverse," she muttered. "I need to change the destination coordinates before the ships fully emerge." Sweat beaded on her forehead as she worked. The first massive ship began to appear through the portal. "Got it," Minji shouted suddenly, redirecting portal to coordinates deep in empty space. On the screen, they watched as the emerging ship suddenly vanished. The portal flickered, then stabilized, now leading to a different part of the galaxy. "It worked," one of the fighters cheered. Ju-Ri didn't waste time celebrating. "We need to secure this ship completely and contact the other teams. We need to capture as many alien vessels as possible before they figure out what happened." Reports came in from around the world. The Resistance had successfully captured 5 major alien ships and dozens of smaller craft. The Q disruptors had worked better than expected, completely shutting down the aliens' coordination. In the command ship's navigation system, Minji discovered something unexpected. "Look at this," she called to Ju-Ri. "It's the location of the hegemony's central command hub, their home base." Ju-Ri studied the star map. "That's where we need to strike next. Once the hegemony realizes what happened to their harvester fleet, they'll send an even larger force." As human fighters secured their captured alien ships, Ju-Ri contacted General Li. "Sir, we've succeeded beyond our expectations. We have control of multiple alien vessels and their technology." "Excellent work, Lieutenant." The general's voice crackled over the communication system. "But this is just the beginning. The real fight is still ahead of us." Ju-Ri looked out at Earth below, still partially under alien control. "Yes, sir, but now we have a fighting chance." For the first time since the invasion, hope didn't seem foolish. Humanity had struck back, using their uniquely human strengths against an enemy that had underestimated them. The hegemony was about to learn a hard lesson. Never underestimate humans when they're fighting for their home. The sun was setting when Emma finally reached the old library. Her heart was beating fast, and her hands were shaking. She knew something important was waiting for her inside. The big wooden doors creaked as she pushed them open, sending a cloud of dust into the air. Inside, rows and rows of books surrounded her. Tall shelves reached almost to the ceiling, and the smell of old paper filled the room. Emma walked carefully between the shelves, her fingers running along the spines of ancient books. She was looking for something special, something that could help her understand the strange events of the past few days. At the very back of the library, hidden behind a large wooden desk, she found an old leather-bound book. It was different from the others. The cover was worn, and strange symbols were carved into its surface. Emma's hands trembled as she picked it up. Something told her this book was important. She opened the book slowly. The pages were yellow and fragile, with writing that looked like it was done many years ago. Some pages were hard to read, with marks and stains covering the old text. But Emma was patient. She started to read carefully, word by word. The first few pages talked about a strange family secret. It mentioned a hidden treasure that had been lost for many years. Emma's eyes grew wide as she read more. The story was about her own family, but it was nothing like what she had been told before. Suddenly, a noise came from behind her. Emma jumped and turned around quickly. The library was dark now, with only a small light coming through the window. She could see a shadow moving between the bookshelves. Someone else was in the library with her. Her heart started to beat even faster. Was it a friend or an enemy? Emma didn't know. She tried to stay quiet, holding the old book close to her chest. The shadow moved closer, and she could hear soft footsteps on the old wooden floor. "Who's there?" Emma called out, trying to sound brave. Her voice shook a little bit. No answer came, just more footsteps. Emma knew she had to make a choice. She could stay and face whoever was coming, or she could run. The book in her hands felt heavy, like it was full of secrets that someone wanted to keep hidden. Just then, a piece of paper fell from between the pages of the book. It landed on the floor with a soft sound. Emma bent down and picked it up. It was a map, but not just any map. This one had strange markings and lines that didn't look like anything she had seen before. The footsteps were getting closer. Emma could hear breathing now. Someone was just a few steps away from her. Her mind was racing. What did the book mean? Why was someone following her? What secrets was her family hiding? Just when she thought she couldn't handle the tension anymore, a hand touched her shoulder. Emma let out a small scream and spun around, ready to defend herself. But the person standing there was not what she expected. It was an old man. He looked tired and worried. His eyes were kind but sad. He looked at the book in Emma's hands, and then back at her face. "I've been waiting a long time for someone to find that," the old man said softly. "I was starting to think no one would ever know the truth." Emma didn't know what to say. Her mind was full of questions. Who was this man? How did he know about the book? And what truth was he talking about? The old library seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what would happen next. Emma stood still, the book pressed against her chest, the mysterious map still in her other hand. The old man watched her, waiting for her to speak. Outside, the night was getting darker. The street lights flickered, and a cold wind blew through the library's old windows. Something big was about to happen. Emma could feel it in her bones. To be continued.